God bless America. Hello everybody, I am the Talk Radio Protege and this is the Protege program. I hope you enjoy this video and will remember to leave a like and subscribe when we get to the end. Now, in yesterday's video, I said I wasn't going to do a deep dive into the Harvey Weinstein stuff unless it was requested by my audience. However, I do not think it would be fitting of me to totally ignore the story because it is such a big deal. I have some thoughts that I do not think I would like to express unless it was accompanied by a deep dive into the story and the events. However, I do have some comments that I can make in the process of sharing with you the most important and highlighted details, and that is the objective of this video. This video is going to be a short summary of two quite lengthy reads from the New Yorker and Vanity Fair that talk about the number of people and the actions that were taken by Weinstein during his sexcapades, you might say. So according to the New Yorker piece that is considered to be the bombshell expose, it has 13 women and detailed accounts of some of them. I don't think it got all 13 detailed accounts. The writer of this column, Mr. Ronan Farrow, also states that 16, quote, former and current executives and assistants at Weinstein's companies, end quote, begin new quote, witnessed or had knowledge of, end quote, his actions. Farrow also writes that all of the people that he interviewed for this column were frightened of retaliation, stating things to the effect of Weinstein could ruin their lives. He also writes that the individuals he interviewed are speaking at this time for this column to protect women in the future. I want to stop there and make a few comments at this juncture. First of all, these women, actresses, models, what have you, had these events happen to them. I can empathize, I believe is the correct word, with their plight of being forced into an uncomfortable situation, feeling overpowered, feeling powerless. One woman in particular recounted feeling obliged to comply with Weinstein's sexual advancements. She stated, or Farrow rather, writes that she felt obliged to do this because Weinstein was doing economic favors for her, and I can empathize with that. I can empathize feeling obliged to do something for someone that you wouldn't do unless there was a certain sum of money involved. I do not seek to imply that the women assaulted by Mr. Weinstein are bad people or were at fault for the way that they felt. I do not mean to imply that they were at fault for the I guess you should say the spark that began their abuse. Some of these women recount that there was a single abusive event that happened, which then was precipitated further abuse. One woman in particular, the one that talks about feeling obliged to comply with Mr. Weinstein's advances, says that it was this first event that placed so much shame and guilt on her that she felt she had to comply with other events. And I'm not blaming her for the feelings. I don't want to sign up for the New Yorker. I want you to show the headline. Jeez Louise, I didn't even notice that. I was so on topic. Anyway, back to the point at hand. I don't mean to blame any of these women for the initial event. What I do think we need to question for the purposes of enabling victims of sexual assault in the future to come forward is we need to ask the question, why didn't you go to the authorities in the first place when this event initially happened? And I think one of the stories that is told in this New Yorker piece does help us to understand why that is. It's I think I want to go ahead and go to that, so please excuse me here. I'll try to vamp for a few moments as I look for this story in particular. It is of the Italian actress, model, from 2015. It is this individual's story that I believe is was the catalyst for this explosion of events. Is it this one? I don't think it is. No, it's not. Here it is. Gutierrez, who is from Italy. She is apparently a respected, revered, and awarded actress from Italy, model from Italy. And in the story that it tells here, Miss Gutierrez was assaulted, groped, fondled, manhandled, whatever, by Mr. Weinstein in a private setting. She goes to the police. They send her back into a meeting with Weinstein wearing a wire. The recording of this, the exchange that followed, rather, is readily available on the internet. You can find it. I've heard pieces of it. The most compelling piece of the exchange is Weinstein trying to convince Ms. Gutierrez to enter his hotel room with him. And Mr. Farrow writes about the prosecution of Mr. Weinstein by the district attorney in this case. And he says here that the DA's office decided not to file charges after, and I may not have paused on the paragraph long enough, after Ms. Gutierrez past began to surface in tabloids. As you can see from this paragraph here, the police were not happy that the DA decided not to prosecute. As one officer says here, "We had the evidence. It's a case that made me angrier than I thought possible, and I've been on the force for a long time." So perhaps this case illustrates why women do feel reluctant to come forward and talk about or reveal to police that they have been sexually assaulted. Perhaps it is because of events like this one where the DA decided not to prosecute because, you know, for whatever reason, the trouble is not worth the sentence, I suppose. I may not have stopped on that paragraph long enough so that you could see. There it is. According to a law enforcement source, Weinstein, if charged, would most likely have faced one count of sexual abuse in the third degree, a misdemeanor punishable by a maximum of 3 months in jail. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a district attorney, any of that. But given that the man that Weinstein was, given the reputation that his legal counsel has based on my short readings of these two stories, to pursue this person for these charges with this evidence, seeking a result that could only be 3 months, would not be economically feasible, and would likely have not resulted in the desired outcome. So I can, again, I think empathize is the right word for it. I can empathize with the district attorney believing that the pursuit of this trial was not worth it. Economically, sure, probably not worth the state's time to pursue this allegation. The police obviously did their job. It's not the police's fault that this allegation is not pursued. Should we have a discussion about whether or not the criminal code offers a harsh enough punishment on this type of accusation? Sure, we could have that conversation, but it doesn't solve the problem that these ladies face. Or changing it would solve the problem, but having the discussion and going through the changes is something that's going to take a lot longer, that's going to result in, that could end in a lot more victims than we have right now. I just don't know what kind of, or how that conversation should go, or where that conversation might lead. So, yeah, I think that's a legitimate grievance that that a woman or feminists might have in this situation. Not that law enforcement is not willing to pursue the kinds of cases that we're talking about here, the sexual in nature directed at, or where women are the victims. We don't have a kind of legal culture where women cannot get justice in these situations. We have a legal culture where a man with enough power, influence, and money can effectively buy his way out of punishment for these crimes, can effectively buy these convictions off of his record. I believe that the story does state somewhere in here that Weinstein did get a settlement with Miss Gutierrez for this instance. She did, I assume, received a sum of money in exchange for not pressing charges and signing an affidavit stating that the acts he admits to in the recording never happened. I honestly think that affidavits like this ought be, I don't know, illegal something. Signing an affidavit where you basically agree to a lie is not good legal practice in my non-legal opinion. I don't know what we should, I think signing an affidavit that agrees to not press charges ought to be enough. I think signing an affidavit that states, the events, that these events didn't take place, I think is meant to protect the reputation of the person whom the accusations are being made about. For instance, Ms. Gutierrez could agree to not press charges and then go on to continue to talk about these accusations and could sully Mr. Weinstein's reputation, etc., etc. But yeah, I don't have a very high opinion of of an affidavit like this. I spent a lot of time talking about that. I want to move on to talk about some of the women that have come forward after this New Yorker story that are laid out in this Vanity Fair article that is continuing to be updated. Apparently, according to the Vanity Fair article, it's 47 actresses. Now, we might get a siren here. 47 actresses that have now come out and told their stories. Some of the actresses listed in this article are already included in the New Yorker column. So I wanted to focus on the actresses, the women and actresses who have come out after the New Yorker column. I would agree that it took courage for the first woman or women or individuals to come out and make their statements, to put their names on their stories. Those women had courage. These individuals that have come out after it has become socially acceptable to attack Harvey Weinstein for his sexual behavior do not have courage. These are bandwagoners. These are women looking for victim points, looking for sympathy points because of their experiences. We might get another siren here as these vehicles drive past me. Let me vamp for just a second as we try to get out of earshot of them. The three women, I just skimmed through the list looking for individuals that I recognized. I'm not a person that follows entertainment culture very closely, so I didn't recognize but 3 of the 47 names, and just by skimming, I didn't even think there were 47 names in the list, but regardless, I did recognize 3 of the names: Gwyneth Paltrow, Angelina Jolie, and Ashley Judd, that have all detailed, that have all come out after it has become socially acceptable to attack Harvey Weinstein to tell their stories. These are women that do not have courage. These are the women whom I have based largely the title of this video on, which is going to be the price of sexual assault. For these women, sexual assault had a price. They suffered sexual assault at the hands of Harvey Weinstein. That is bad. I do not mean to insinuate that these women are evil because they accepted the price of the sexual assault, but I do mean to say that their character does contain this flaw in that their standards of morality were able to be purchased by effectively purchased by Mr. Weinstein and the entertainment industry. Gwyneth Paltrow is now worth $140 million. Angelina Jolie is now worth $160 million. Ashley Judd is now worth $25 million. I haven't done a lot of research into the timeline behind these women's stories. I do not know if Mr. Weinstein assaulted them before they achieved fame and fortune, or after, or during their climb to their current level of economic success. However, I want to ask you a question as my viewers. I want you to answer honestly. I would really appreciate your feedback in the comment section. If you suffered a wrong from an individual while you were pursuing a career that promised fame and fortune beyond the dreams of many of us mere mortals, for instance, in the entertainment industry. For instance, let us say that while pursuing a career in the entertainment industry, you were subject to having your possessions, perhaps having your intellectual property, perhaps having some amount of money taken from you by an individual who promised you fame and fortune in return. Let us suppose that you had your, pick something that's important to you that's not your sexuality, because I'm trying to just steer you away from that. Say that you approached a production executive in the entertainment industry pursuing a career in entertainment, and they said, give me your house that you built with your own two hands, that you're extremely proud of, that you are currently living in, and I will make you rich and famous beyond your wildest imaginations. Is that theft? Is that a free exchange of things? Is that legal in that sense? Because, and I ask that because it could be argued. Whether or not I actually make that argument, I'll leave up to you to decide. It can be argued that these women decided they would exchange their these sexual actions with Mr. Weinstein for multiples of tens of millions of dollars, for the fame and recognition that comes with being a successful Hollywood individual. Could it be said that these women would not have accepted in silence these actions, these violations of their sexual purity, if there was not a promise of fame, fortune, tens of millions of dollars in exchange for those actions? If they were already worth some millions of dollars and already had a degree of name recognition in the entertainment industry, would they have accepted these sexual actions had it not been for the promise of increased fame, recognition, and wealth? If there had not been other women that had paved the path of making these attacks on Mr. Weinstein socially acceptable, would these women have remained silent? These are questions that we cannot actually know the answer to, except for the first. When it comes to the culture of silence around sexual scandals in the entertainment industry and related industries, such as the news industry, I don't know what the correct Italian phrase is, but think of Mr. Roger Ailes of Fox News. You know, Megyn Kelly alleges now that Mr. Ailes did sexually assault her before she was a recognizable figure from Fox News, and now, or rather before she left Fox News, arguable whether or not now she has a successful career. She had a successful career at Fox News. She exchanged those sexual advances by Mr. Ailes for success at Fox News. These individuals, for better or worse, whether or not it makes them evil people, I will let you decide. These people have exchanged their moral standards on sexual assault for success in the entertainment and information industries. Again, whether or not that is right or wrong, whether or not that is for better or worse, I leave to you to decide. And I think that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed even though I think this is one of my more sober videos that I've done on this channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for making it to the end. I hope that you will leave a like and subscribe. More importantly, I hope you'll let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Again, thank you for watching. Until next time, have a fantastic evening. Good night, and God bless.